Hello and welcome to Console Shock, Retro and Modern Gaming Chat with me, Trev, and Big Daddy Cool, Stu. How's it going, Stu?
Yeah, really good, Trev, really good.
Got to say, this is episode 72 as well, so what do you think about 72? That's more than, well, the previous
good
numbers.
Good number.
Sure. Yeah, I can't believe we've hit that many, considering our terrible scheduling. Or lack of
we'll get there though. We do them when we want to do them, and sometimes do a few, and
that's it.
Take that.
How professional we are. Just like, let's do one, shall we? Might as well. The listeners will appreciate it. Well, thanks for sticking with us, whoever is listening to us right now, despite our slightly poor scheduling. But we keep pumping them out somehow. How have you been?
Yeah, been good.
How's the video games? Playing the video games?
I'm playing Resident Evil 7 at the moment. I got that on Game Pass.
That's funny. I actually played. I completed Resident Evil 2 recently.
Well, actually, I did that a little while. Yeah, I did both run-throughs.
Not the remake, the original.
Oh no, I did the remake. Yeah, and that's what I thought. I want to get Resident Evil 7. Absolutely cracking game, really good. Yeah, I completed 2 on the PC version of 2, and I did enjoy it. It was quite frustrating at points, but I did quite like it. But I'll be now I need to do 3. I'm thinking that I won't bother with 3 because I think it's just a side story to 2, isn't it, or something? It's not like I'll go for 3. I enjoyed that back, but I do want to get the remake. That probably a game I'll pick. I don't know, in the next few months, I think.
I might just go and play the remake of 3, and then there's 4, which is already pretty good, like on its own, and inspired like Gears of War and all kinds of like over-the-shoulder sort of shenanigans. So yeah, I've done a few actually recently. I'm nearly at the end of. I've started going through Halo Master Chief Collection, having been on and off with it. Nearly finished Halo 1. I just finished the Gears of War 1. I finished Gears of War 1, and I finished Dead Space. Games.
Dead Space is maybe a really good series of games. It's just something I've just never touched. But I think I watched someone on YouTube and Completionist maybe, and he was just talking about how good sort of Dead Space was. And now that on Game Pass, get my games off Game Pass. EA's on there now.
Yeah, so, you get EA Play, and it's on that. Yeah,
exactly. So you can download Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. So I might give them a go pretty soon as well.
Yeah, they work obviously on the Xbox One and the Xbox the Series X if you haven't one, or Series S, whatever. But I actually played it on the PC. Like, it was an utter pain to get working on the PC. I had to like the Dead Stones on the Dead Stones. The Dead Zones. Dead Stones is the name of a band. The Dead Zones on the analog sticks were completely screwed. So I had to get some weird software that will generate a mapping file or something and stick it in the directory of the game. So yeah, if you got a choice between the PC version and the probably the original 360 version through EA Play or whatever, you might be better off just using the 360 version. You just download the bugger, bang, you're ready to go.
I mean, I'll get the 360 version. Yeah.
I don't think there's any enhancements to it, but it's a great game. But we've actually got another guest today, and it's actually kind of funny, isn't it, Stu? Because our last guest was sort of very Amiga centric, Miss Mad Lemon. We did establish that she's not married to a Mr. Lemon or the dude that runs Lemon Amiga. I think she was kind of very careful to point that out because we quashed those rumours, didn't we, straight away? We
did, yeah. They had to be quashed. There was all these rumours going around.
Lemon Amiga, you know what that Lemon Amiga guy's like? Such a floozy. But we talked about Amiga magazines, didn't we? Well, it turns out that there is somewhat of a bubbling up of some new activity in the Amiga magazine sort of scene, isn't there, Stu?
There is, yeah. So today we've got Ravi from Amiga Addict, so the Retro Hour, and his YouTube channel does lots of good sort of mixes and sort of documentaries, again, all about the Amiga, so a great subject. Hello, Ravi.
Hey, how are you doing?
Thanks for joining us, Ravi.
Oh, thanks for asking me to come on. Yeah.
No problem.
I'd say the magazine is organised by Jonah Naylor, though, but magazine is organised by Jonah Naylor, though, but he doesn't like going on podcasts. I'm trying to do the job for him.
So you've got to do the marketing for him then, I suppose. That's all right. Podcasts are always fun.
I noticed you are down as the deputy editor, though, aren't you, of the magazine?
Oh, yeah. So it's kind of me and Jonah are like the editor team at the moment, and then we've got other people contributing.
So, Ravi, so we obviously, most of our listeners probably know you from the Retro Hour and obviously your channel on YouTube. But obviously, we know that you're a big Amiga fan. We probably don't need to go too deep into how you got started, all that stuff. We would just direct them to your awesome Retro Hour podcast, of course, with Dan. But yeah, obviously, magazines. We were talking about magazines a few weeks ago with Miss Mad Lemon, and it was great, reminiscing about them. What sort of Amiga magazines did you used to sort of buy back in the day when it was when Amiga mags were common?
I was constantly buying mags. So I started with Amiga Shopper. And,
I love Amiga Shopper.
I love Shopper for a long time actually, and then I got into like CVG as well, and then I was totally Amiga format. But the CD-ROM started coming out, and they were kind of essential because you didn't have the internet, or access to it, and CU Amiga started doing the better CD-ROMs, the super CD-ROMs, so I kind of switched over mainly because of the CD-ROMs. There was no way you could download like 650 odd meg of software, wasn't there, in those days? You'd be lucky to get just a single file, wouldn't you, of a handful of meg in those days. So and there was like two versions as well. So there was a floppy version and a CD version out as well. And
it
took a while to transition, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess like I was still getting. We talked last time about how we carried a lot of the stock with the magazines well until nearly when they were dying out. I was still getting Amiga format in the sort of very late 90s, and I think I was still getting the floppy disk version. Actually, I didn't have a CD drive on my Amiga. I didn't have I think you plugged them into the PCM CIA port, didn't you?
I think that's probably why they still had the floppy version, because so little Amiga users had. Actual CD drives. They were quite hard to get,
Yeah, I was really jealous because, funny you mentioned about CU Amiga having CDs. They did put TFX, an entire game on. They gave it away with a copy of CU Amiga, which is an awesome flight simulator. It doesn't run brilliant on the Amiga. I think they needed quite a powerful one. Although these days you'd be all right with all the accelerators we've got access to. But even with an accelerator, then it'd run quite slow. But they just gave away a whole game. They couldn't get the release for it. Do you remember? Did you get that? Issue?
Yeah, I think I got most of them because I would be. For me, it'd be like a little update pack. So you'd get like the demos in there. You'd get images, everything. But also I still bought Amiga magazines much later on. So even the small column in Micromart. If you remember that? I would just buy Micromart for the one
2002, 3, and 4
column
in there. Yeah. Who wrote that? Was that an Amiga?
I think it was just it must have been one Amiga writer, and they just kept it in there for classic sake. And I bet it got them some sales though.
It probably did. I mean, you know what? It was probably this dude that was just the Office Amiga fan was probably this dude. He obviously did, other stuff in Micromart, but you know about that. You still look after the Amiga stuff, don't you? Can you just write a column for us? And he was like, yeah, right. What do you want to know? Well, just get the latest news or something. So he just probably went on, some Amiga.org or something, whatever was the best Amiga site in those days, and just regurgitated that into a column. But yeah, that was literally it, wasn't it? In that
till 2015, really. There were other ones. So there was Amiga Active, which went till 2001, and that was kind of old CU Amiga stuff that tried to keep it going, and that went bankrupt sadly. But then that was in WH Smith. You could go in and actually still buy it, which is crazy.
That's weird, isn't it? Because then you would have had like, I think CU Amiga finished. Was it in 98 or 99? I think when that finished.
Around then, they left some very naughty stuff on the last CD-ROM. I don't know if you know about that.
No, I don't.
Lots of dodgy manga images on the last CD-ROM. So if you go looking through there, it's 18 plus.
They just thought, what the hell? They just didn't care anymore, right?
Yeah, I think someone just dumped a load of stuff on there. It's like, wow, okay.
Personal collection that worked on the mag. Yeah, I think it finished. Yeah, it must have been like 98, 99. But then Amiga format carried on till like 2000. So Amiga Active, I think, did it start just after format died?
It was just after CU died. And then a few CU stuff came along. And then because CU outlasted Amiga format. And then they had like ISPs coming out and stuff. It was really weird just to have an Amiga mag out at that time. But then that was off the shelves in the UK. And the new model of magazines was like Total Amiga, which was by Southeast Amiga Link. And that was a printed mag that you would order, like Amiga Future.
Like a fanzine almost, yeah.
And that's the kind of model that we're going for at the moment.
So that does bring us to what you're doing right now. So the news I've been talking about, it's funny because I mentioned, I think it might have been in the episode with Miss Mad Lemon, where there's actually a Nintendo magazine, a UK print Nintendo magazine that's just started via Kickstarter, and they got their first issue out recently called Ninty Fresh. I actually ordered it as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a nice name. It's pretty good. It's a decent chunky size. It's like 60 odd pages. And yeah, it's a pretty good mag. And you can order it now. They've got the first issue out. I think they're just trying to get secured enough pre-orders for the second issue. But it's really good, and it's actually quite it's obviously a model that's really good for this stuff, because like Amiga and Nintendo, in terms of a print magazine, even though it's a platform that's still ongoing, because Nintendo, they make new consoles, so you've got there's plenty of new material to talk about. Obviously, it's just websites have killed everything, haven't they? But Nintendo magazine, the official mag, that finished in the mid 2010s, so there's been nothing for several years. So Nintendo have got a bunch of people have got together and have started making it. So what kind of started the idea of maybe getting an Amiga magazine together?
Actually, it's a mental idea for a start. We're absolute mentalists, and it's like starting an Amiga mag in 2020. What the hell? But it's a lot of people actually from the Retro Hour community decided to do this. So listeners of the show.
Oh, that's cool.
And the idea was that Jonah Naylor's heading it. He's now the Simulant as well. He runs Simulant Store. And the kind of idea is, we've got a pandemic on. There's not much escapism. There's not much kind of fun, giggles, having a laugh. And that kind of UK magazine scene was really funny. Like back in the days, Amiga format actually outsold stuff like Men's Health and
that's crazy, isn't it?
HQ, I think it was 272,000 copies. And if you think there's not that many Amiga users, but there must have been other retro people or other people with interest that were into it. So that's what we're trying to appeal to. Amiga Future's got it pretty much covered with news and covering the scene. We want to get that kind of UK funny edge in there, but also we don't want to be Amiga Power or Amiga format, because those magazines are old and dead, and it's a new age. It's a weird age where kind of if you have stuff on the internet, and it gets put onto a magazine, it's not really that exciting. It's just another form of that being kind of replicated the same information. So we want to give it a bit of an identity and get the community involved.
Well, the Amiga scene is completely different now. It's all about all of the sort of little projects that are coming out to sort of recreate your Amigas, and then you got the nostalgia factor and things like that. So it'll be completely different from, I don't know, Edge magazine, where they're talking about the latest games and the best will in the world. There aren't, the latest FIFA's obviously not coming to the Amiga. So I imagine, it's going to be a mixture of, what's new coming out of the sort of homebrew scene, what new sort of boards you can get, and then also a bit of a look back at.
Yeah, and also bringing the humor back, because I think the Amiga scene, any retro scene, is far too serious at the moment, and everyone takes everything far too serious. And you think about those old magazines. I don't think Amiga Power would have survived if the internet was there, because of the amount of controversial stuff they put on. They would have just been trending on Twitter every single week, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so
we want to have fun with it, but not, be horrible or cruel, but also like be tongue in cheek and have that kind of British cheek and make you spit your tea out when you're reading. At least my columns will be like that. But we also don't want it to have one opinion. So a lot of people kind of have this, you must agree with this, you must agree with this. But the idea of having people contributing is having different columnists, like in a newspaper, and each columnist will have their own opinion. And even if it clashes with someone's in the magazine, it's still their own opinion. It's not the idea of the magazine. So it kind of brings all these different camps of Amiga that are always fighting, or they're always kind of arguing over my system's better than yours or whatever, brings them all together and, kind of brings a bit more fun and just a bit more lightness to the kind of Amiga scene at the moment, because it's super serious.
Yeah, I think the magazine format, you're right, it kind of lends itself to that tone as well, because websites tend to be quite dry and, they're trying to appeal to the biggest base.
Or very factual, just factual and not very personal,
Exactly. There's not a lot of warmth to it, Obviously, the stuff's exciting, talking about Amiga new stuff coming out, but you kind of get the excitement you've sort of generated yourself from just knowing what this stuff is, really, as opposed to, the tone of voice of the magazine getting you like that, or presenting something in a fun way. I think that's great.
Amiga Future's out there, and Amiga Future's absolutely great. But we found that because it's originally written in German, and then it's translated, that some of the flow of the kind of text, we think it could be a little bit better, for a UK kind of audience. And
probably reads a bit robotic, perhaps, if it's sort of, if it's been
and they've done an amazing job. They've been going for so long. Amiga Future, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they're the longest running Amiga magazine now, aren't they? They've got a longer run than Amiga Format and all the other. Well, I think Amiga Format, 10 years is the record, with Format. So they've done an amazing job to keep things going, and we salute them, and hopefully they'll keep on going. But I think there's definitely room for another magazine, especially one that's kind of, English, shall we say, centric. So perhaps if there is that humor is in there to some extent in Amiga Future, it's probably difficult to actually for a translator to pick that up.
Yeah, we want to get there's some writers that are going to be very just chilled out, very calm. But then we've got guys like Simon Butler on board as well. He's a bit of a controversial character. We're going to have a bit of kind of, my style's going to be a bit Vizzy, a bit kind of Mickey take, you know what I mean? But then there's also going to be people really doing in-depth software and hardware reviews as well. So, and also explainers, because I think one thing about the Amiga scene at the moment is there are so many different options of how you can use the machine, how you can get into it. And if you're a new user or you're a returning user, it could be the most confusing thing ever.
That's right. Yeah, there's some people that might see this magazine that might not have been involved in any way in the interim years, and they just think, it stopped in 98, didn't it? Or maybe even earlier than that, right?
Or just stopped after Commodore. So then you start talking about PowerPC and FPGA, and they're like, what? It's like,
exactly. Yeah,
you need these guides as well, and this kind of guide them through what the scene is today.
And sometimes it's just nice if there is a guide. It's nice to just have. You can sit by your Amiga, and maybe you'll have a programming guide or some kind of hardware guide, and it's nice to have a magazine you could sit to one side while you're doing this stuff. As much as you can have a tutorial, it's just nice to be away from another computer, and you can just follow the guide. Those days have gone, really, haven't they, with the death of Amiga magazines? But with you guys, it's the chance to bring that sort of stuff back.
Hopefully,
What sort of format is it going to take? The format, Amiga format. What sort of format is it going to sort of take? You're going to look to have like kind of like Amiga format in a way where you've got like the news section, then you have like serious software section, then game reviews. Do you have any ideas on how that will look?
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to do big interviews, but also like I want to bring my kind of retro hour interview skills to the magazine as well. So
yeah, if
we had issues, say a deluxe paint one, then I'm gonna try and get Trip Hawkins to talk about it. Try and get wider things. So like Urban Shakedown were a huge band that used Amigas. You know, if you had to kind of Betty Boo, you know, a lot of the people that were famous that were connected with the Amiga, if we could kind of just even get a small text interview or a quote from them, I think that's going to bring in a lot more people and make it a lot more interesting, but also regular features. Yeah, there's going to be a letters page. I'm actually writing that at the moment because we don't have any letters, so I'm just doing jokes.
Oh, Trev, give him your letter from years ago.
It's going to bring that up, isn't it?
Yeah, Trevor, give him your letter. What was it?
To be honest, I found the issue of Amiga format that my letter. So, Ravi, I don't know if you heard. You probably heard it on the last show, actually. But yeah,
I keep on bringing it up.
Yeah, I actually wrote to Amiga format, and I found the actual issues on obviously archive.org. You know, we all know about it. It's an amazing place where they archive everything, including like magazines. But the issue that it's in is on there, and I actually put it on Twitter. So if anybody is interested, you can see my letter to Amiga format in there. So now, Ravi, you've given me a chance to write again.
There you go. You can write in from issue 2. Yeah,
I'm going to send an actual letter as well. Let's do it for real.
The thing is, we've only got like 2 or 3 staff, so we've got a lot of volunteers as well. But kind of having those staff will hopefully keep the regular features going, and then we'll decide which columns are kind of you know, popular or which columns people are really getting into, and maybe change features and have different guest writers coming on from different parts of the community as well. So we want to get everybody involved. You know, we want German writers and Polish writers, Australian, you know, American, the whole kind of Amiga scene. And hopefully then we'll get an identity. But at the moment, it's kind of got a bit of a fanzine-y, nostalgic kind of feel.
So you've got like a core set of people that you're hoping will kind of be an ongoing team. So that would be yourself, and is there a few more then?
So we've got James Walker, who's a really good game player actually, and he's just done a review of the game, and we're like, oh, James, just do a little overview. He's completed the game. He's done all the screenshots. Wow. He's got like all the scores. We've also got Ian Griffins as well, who's you might know him as Pixels at Dawn. He's from the Amigos podcast as well.
Right,
yeah. We've got Simon Butler as well, ex-Ocean developer, and
cool.
There's lots of people wanting to contribute other podcasts. RGDS, Paul Driscoll, and those guys are trying to get involved as well. And we'll have, I think, Mads from Retro Asylum as well. He'll be doing a CD
cool.
section. Awesome. So we're hoping all these different parts of the community kind of come together and just start having a laugh, really, and having a bit of escapism at the moment, because we all need that.
What's going to happen now is we need everyone to get this magazine, as many people as we can, so it becomes so popular you'll be forced to break away an Amiga shopper version of Amiga Addict.
That's it, yeah. I think I say in the first one, I say when W.H. Smith collapses, we can just buy it and then fill it with Amiga mags and force the PC users to have a tiny column.
Yeah, well, there'll be Amiga Mart, and we'll just have one column for the PC, and that'll be it.
That's it.
That brings up a good question. It's like when I used to have a sort of Amiga magazine sort of back in the day, I used to love looking at the adverts, and you circle, I want that, I want that, and I want that. Are you going to have adverts in there at first?
100%. I'll tell you what, I went round last year to all of the Amiga events, and I think I went 7 different countries, and I was at Amiga Ireland, Amiga Germany, all of these places, and they were absolutely rammed with people. It was absolutely crazy. And, you know, that's momentum's there, and all the products are coming out, and there's just not like a central place. As soon as COVID happened, all these events kind of stopped, and it just seemed like there was a great momentum. And I think advertising is definitely going to help, because, you know, people will be able to find out about products and all the new stuff, but also it will help us. Like at the moment, we're just relying on the pre-orders to kind of pay for it and get it over the kind of hill. But advertising will help out, like, you know, in a kind of advertising model. But also we're thinking of doing a community advertising section as well, just with like even free adverts for certain projects and stuff like that, you know.
People selling their Amiga 4000s. Just come round and pick it up, you know, £1,000 or nearest offer. ONO, you have to put ONO in there.
And it is going to be digital and printed as well. So obviously like, you can get a printed subscription and you'll get a digital copy. And we just want to say, please don't pirate it, guys. If it comes out, like, wait a while, you know, like, wait till we've got a big user base. And
like we used to do that with the floppy disk, but let's just lay off that for now for the magazine. All right,
let us get over the hill first.
Amiga fans haven't got much of an experience of pirating games, so I wouldn't worry.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry.
So you've obviously got to everybody listening as well, go and visit the website amiga-addict.com. There's more information there. But it looks like you're sort of gearing up to release like issue 1. And in terms of like the model you're doing, from what I've sort of read about it, it's kind of similar to what I mentioned earlier about the Ninty Fresh Nintendo Mag, where you're trying to build up to a set amount of orders, and then you'll be able to sort of ship the magazine. I mean, what is the sort of the time frame you're hoping to work with?
So we're hoping this weekend we've nearly finished the first issue already. So
wow.
That's so we're gonna have to sit there and proof it and look for it with a microscope, fact check everything, you know, because this is going to be something that everybody's going to look at. But we're aiming to have it out on the 14th of December so that it can
wicked.
So that will be when the digital copies go out, and also it gets printed and then sent out on that day. So hopefully people can get it for Christmas or between Christmas and New Year's. That's our aim at the moment. Yeah. And we've got 67 left to hit the actual.
I signed up last night and the number was a lot higher than that.
Yeah, no, it's gathering momentum now.
So it's and for me it's like, okay, that's not too much. I'll sign up for that. The annoying thing is I was on my phone and I kept on putting in my postcode, and you have to do it all in capitals.
Oh God, yeah.
Or it came up with an error every time, and I nearly gave up, but I did it.
It's I think Jonah's basically using his own store system. I would have gone through Kickstarter or something, but I think it makes sense because, you know, they take a little bit of a cut, and then we're on really thin margins with this at the moment.
Yeah.
So, you know, but you'll be amazed at the amount of people that have done 12-month printed subscriptions as well, which is just shows the kind of need for that. And it's just amazing to see the amount of 12-month subscriptions we've already got. Yeah.
So you've got. So you obviously, you know, we're hopefully near, you know, the point where the first issue can actually get out there once we've got the amount of orders there. So please, everybody, if you've got an interest in the Amiga in any way and have a fond memory of an Amiga mag that you used to get, even if you don't, get that order in.
We've just had an article. Kim Justice doing a feature on it, and it's fantastic. And an Amiga bill, pretty much 5-page Amiga bill feature with some just amazing stuff in there. So it's looking good.
The YouTube Amiga gods are already in there, so it's going to be good. It's going to be really good quality. So in terms of like the future, then it looks like we're going to, you know, fingers crossed, we're nearly there with issue 1. is it a thing where you'd be looking to try and get an issue out each month? Do you need to get more funding for that?
No, yeah, monthly we'll just go for it. Yeah, we're already working on issue 2, so even if there is a little drop off of people that just pre-ordered issue 1, we've got plans and we've got ideas to keep it going. So, you know, to be honest, guys, we haven't done a massive marketing push on this yet.
Yeah,
like a really huge one. I think if we get a printed copy and then we send it out to all the big YouTubers like Metal Jesus Rocks, LGR, all of these kind of guys, and then they look at it. Yeah, then they'll go, an Amiga Mag in 2020. What the hell? You know, that might bring in a lot of people.
Share, subscribe.
Yeah, I think the American market is really interested in the Amiga because a lot of them didn't have it when they were younger, but they have memories of Commodore. They have memories of that, and you know, there's a lot of people looking back retroactively. You know?
And that they have like nostalgia for magazines as well. They obviously had their own magazines. I'm not sure if they had really an Amiga one. I think maybe Commodore made their own weird kind of official mag that they put out. But
I can't think. Like, I knew in Australia they got it really late, and it was massively expensive.
I remember like even like an Amiga format, there'd often be a letter, wouldn't there, from like an American or an Australian saying, "Oh, we love the magazine. We have to wait ages to get our issue, but we don't have any Amiga mags over here." So the UK was just like the epicenter of, you know, Amiga mags. You'd walk into WH Smith in like the mid-90s and they'd be like, that literally would be its own section of just Amiga mags.
We're hoping by like issue 10 that we've got a little plan that can kind of help us, which would be like if we have a cluster of people. So we have a section of Australian people that are buying a print copy or American, then with print on demand services, you could probably print it locally and then save a lot on postage and have
you just send them the files.
Really, have it to them really quickly. So that might work if we could find people in those countries that are willing to pack it up for a bit of pay and get them delivered. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
So, I mean, in terms of like sort of specs for it, so how many sort of pages are you looking to hit at the moment?
I think, let me have a look at the notes, 56 at the moment.
Cool.
So.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, that's probably more than what Amiga Shopper had, not counting all the dozens of adverts or hundreds of ads.
And I'll tell you what, it's really wordy. Like, we've got up to 1,000 words per page. So it's at the moment it's looking more like a journal kind of magazine. I need to stop writing really big articles.
That's what we want. We need stuff to read. So I need to. Yeah. We've all got plenty of time right now, so
that's it. Exactly.
It's the perfect thing for that. So I know, like, again, you can look on the website. You could see sort of the mock-up of like the front cover that you guys have got on there.
We've got a couple of sample articles as well. We've got 3 sample articles there.
Yeah. You actually do have an article about old mags, which is really cool. Seems to be a bit of a flavour of the month at the moment, isn't it? We've talked about it. You're talking about it.
Yeah.
We're talking about it now. It's a good time. And, you know, I've got to ask it. Obviously, I know it's not happening in the immediate future, but do you think you'll ever have some kind of a cover disc?
Yes. This is the weird thing about the Amiga community, about any retro community.
Yeah.
We had, you know, we put a couple of jokes on there. So, like, what? No cover disc? Ask your newsagents. And Britain's best-selling magazine for Amiga users. And you get people going, how dare they claim they are the best users, the best magazine in the UK.
You are.
Yeah. So, we've had a lot of, that's already been a piece of controversy. It's just like, we will have eventually one when we get staff on. And I think the way that we're going to do that is obviously we're not going to go and buy loads of floppy disks and source it and kind of reprint them and stuff.
You dig out the copy of copy and an Amiga 500 and just manually copy each one yourself.
But someone said, like, maybe if you had a QR code on the front that you could then scan the link to an ADF. That might work, you know, using modern technology to kind of add to it.
I imagine people who generally use the Amiga now, though, they probably haven't actually got a disk drive or a CD-ROM.
Yeah, maybe a GoTech. You know,
they've got a GoTech or they're some sort of USB device, or things like that, or they're actually connected it to the internet. There's lots of other ways that they're, I can imagine CD-ROMs are sort of very slow. And
it might be more hassle for someone to stick a floppy disk in and a CD-ROM in an Amiga now, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
You could just do I don't know. This is probably what you'd be planning to do, but you'd have like whatever software that you've been talking about in the mag. Potentially, some of it you could give away like a sample, or if it is just shareware, you could just give people access to an archive file, couldn't you?
Or even a HDF. The thing would be making sure that everybody's work that's in there is accounted for, and also that the software you're putting out there is legal as well. So we would need one person just to kind of be that disc person. We might try get that in the future. Yeah.
Don't put any Japanese manga that's slightly naughty.
Who knows what issues are going to happen in the future?
Yeah, hopefully you won't for a long, long time, if ever. But if there's ever a final one, then I suppose that's what you can do. But that'd be cool. Yeah, we'll look forward to that as well. One thing that I'd be curious about, obviously, Amiga. When you think about Amiga, you think about games. So there's obviously a lot of new games that have come out in the last however many years, but obviously there's a massive back catalogue of old games. Yeah. So what's your sort of stance on how you're going to sort of handle those? I suppose are you going to just have reviews of old games, because obviously there's way more Amiga games even in the old games that we probably ever got around to playing.
I think we might have developer lookbacks, and we might, we were thinking of doing special issues. So you'd have an issue on DMA Designs, or you'd have one on Psygnosis or Team 17. Because to be honest, the general public, they don't remember Amiga. It's hard to say being an Amigan, because I wish they did.
You're probably right though. Yeah,
they don't, but they will remember Lemmings, and they will remember Worms, and
the names,
and the Team 17 thing, or the Psygnosis logo, and I think that's the good route to go, and go look at these companies and what great games they made. But also stuff like Metro Siege at the moment, it's a piece of art that's got to be covered in detail. Some of the Amiga games being made at the moment are mind blowing. It's not just lazy porting anymore. It's some real dedicated work. It's absolutely mad to see it happening. Yeah.
Some of the games coming out as well, they're pushing some of the original hardware as well, that perhaps, in the Amiga format days, they would never thought Amiga was capable of.
Yeah, it's like 40 years or 30 years of hardware tricks kind of into there,
Yeah, new ones being found a lot along the way. It's absolutely amazing. So you're going to do reviews as well? I mean, what?
Yeah, James is our review guy for that as well, but I'm sure we'll be getting other people in there. Yeah.
Have you landed upon a way to review yet? Are you going to do the old school percentage out of 100? Are you going to do out of 5? What
that's going to be? Yeah, I'm going to have to see what James has done, because at the moment I'm kind of focusing on my own columns, and then we're getting everybody else to submit, and then we're going to do a big proofread and a big check of everything. So at the moment, I haven't really seen his stuff yet.
Cool. Well,
looking forward to it myself. Yeah,
we'll get to find out. I mean, I'm quite fond of the percentage, even though it is kind of weird, isn't it, how it works? I mean, what's a 50% game? But Amiga Power always got that sort of nailed down, didn't they? If a game was mediocre, it would get 50%, even though in other mags that would be 70. Yeah, that was a huge piece of power back then. Now I think it's kind of just this is my score and my opinion. But back then it would affect sales of games. It really would.
Yeah, it can make or break a game actually, and companies would be trying to get in with people, take them out for meals, send them loads of stuff in the post.
Slightly shady ways of doing it. Yeah, Rise of the Robots getting 94% in CVG is the biggest one, isn't it? I think with that.
And also, people would lose faith if it was a percentage and they trusted the magazine's reviews, and then they kind of gave a crap game a high percent. People would be like, "Oh, I've lost the faith in that one."
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's amazing how much influence those sort of. There was no internet. The TV shows were limited in terms of what they did. They often didn't cover Amiga as well to a large extent. They did do Amiga stuff on Games Master, which is kind of cool. But we'd
like to get some Dominic Diamond quotes in there as well and stuff.
Well, you had him on, didn't you, on the Retro Hour not that long ago?
So there's a lot of crossover with guests that we've had on the podcast that we can kind of do. And also there's a lot of stuff like the development of the 3DO was done by RJ Michael, Dave Needle as well. And same with the Atari Lynx. There's a lot of systems that were developed using the Amiga. So
there's potential to cover sort of Amiga kind of I don't know,
the greater power of Amiga.
Yeah. Yeah.
Babylon 5 and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. And like they say, like sort of cousin devices to the Amiga, like the Atari Lynx, and even the Jaguar shared some stuff with the Amiga, didn't
even PlayStation developers like were using D-Paint still at some points on the early days, so
and that's stuff that those magazines would never have covered really back in the day, so.
And I think that's something totally different, and it's also not what the internet seems to be covering as well, which will hopefully be an appeal for the wider audience. I'm a believer that there's a huge group of Amigans out there that actually haven't engaged with it. Like even Kanye West used the Amiga for his first machine. So.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So. In terms of the logistics of this, because I'm quite curious as to how making a magazine would work these days, especially when it's kind of, I guess you would say, this is like an indie magazine. You're not with a big publisher like the original Amiga magazines would have had. So, I mean, you produce it on a computer and you can get the pages done.
I imagine it's made completely on an Amiga.
It is. Yes.
Oh wow! I'm worried there.
Page Stream. Which is desktop publishing package for the Amiga. And then it's for PowerPC as well and 68K. But, we've had a few people say, oh, this looks a bit old school and fanzine-ish. And it's like, I don't know if you've seen if you've seen the first logo we had on the Retro Hour, that's pretty fanzine-ish. Like these things take a while to get their identity. And stuff like Viz as well, that kind of started out very like I quite like that aesthetic, the fanzine one, but having it made on Amiga just gives it that edge. But it does take a lot longer.
when you think about the original mags, like the front covers were mostly like it was either artwork from a game, so just like a picture of the character or something that was often just from the manual or like the box. They didn't get a CG render or customized stuff a lot of the time. They also didn't have like an artist a lot of the time, like Crash and Zap would have to make something themselves. Most of the issues that I remember are things like just a cool looking picture of an Amiga with cool lighting on it. In sort of a funky
there was all nice renders as well, weren't there?
Yeah, I think when we got
a sexy lady, they'd always do that as well, which we probably would not do these days. we want it to be open to everybody, and we also want to get as many female contributors as possible because there's not that many female voices. In the retro community as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the one that's one of the most significant ones that we think of is Miss Mad Lemon, who we've also had on recently,
Totally. Do you remember Kiki Stockhammer?
Possibly.
She was NewTek, the face of NewTek, and she was pretty much like the spokesman of the video toaster and the face of Amiga.
Oh wow!
For a long time, and she's hardly ever mentioned. She was even in Babylon 5 at one point, and I'd love to get some kind of Kiki Stockhammer stuff out there. And she worked with Will Wheaton, Tony Hawks, and Penn Juliet at NewTek as well. So
oh my god,
that's a mad connection. Oh, I'm William Shatner as well.
Oh my god, you can have an entire Star Trek subset section in there from that by the sounds of things.
I think there's lots of women in the Amiga world, but it hasn't been highlighted.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this will be a chance to do that in print form, which would be amazing. Good news then for Stu, because I think you were a little bit worried with that question about what it's made on.
Yeah,
you were worried that Ravi would say, "Yeah, sorry guys, but it's an Atari ST."
I'll just cancel my pre-order if it was made on an Atari ST. I wouldn't be interested in that rubbish.
Well, what we really want to do is those beautiful zoom-in images you see on like Retro Gamer, where they've really zoomed into the pixels.
Oh, the pixel art. Yeah.
I really love that stuff. We're trying to get the capture right, and
Well, they've like cut out a sprite of the main character and
blown it up for like, really lovely.
I guess you'll be the kind of competing with. They're probably the closest thing that you would consider a competitor, and not that you're like trying to compete with anyone.
I'll tell you what, Retro Gamer is very interesting because Paul Jury lives up the road from me.
He's a columnist, isn't he? Yeah,
and he's going up to me going, "Oh, you got any contacts from the Retro Hour that I can use?" And I'm like, "Oh, do you want to swap details and stuff?"
Yeah, he owes you now.
Yeah, and actually, I set up a Robin Hood Amiga group, which was like a local Amiga group during COVID, just to get people going. And before all the lockdowns, we managed to have one socially distanced meeting. But actually, Paul owns he's the treasurer of the venue, and he said get an Amiga group in. So actually, he's kind of fully supporting us there, which is really nice. So there's a good connection with Retro Gamer. But yeah, I think we're going to try and offer something a little bit different.
What's going to happen when you become so popular that you have to absorb Retro Gamer into a few little short pages that are in the middle? Amiga Addict incorporating Retro Gamer.
We'll make one of those little pamphlets, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give it a little pull out in black and white. It's funny because when we think
Fusion
about
as well, Fusion's great. So
yeah, there was a magazine. Was it Retro? Or was that in Games.tm? I can't remember. But it's funny with Retro Gamer. There's now when the first issue of that came out in 2004. The current console was the PS2 and the original Xbox, and Retro was basically probably mostly 8-bit. I think then. Now with like the latest issues of Retro Gamer, they're doing features on the PS2 and the original Xbox. Because they've been going so long now that is now retro. How bizarre is that? Yeah,
the recent front cover was Half-Life, wasn't it?
Exactly,
Persia Sands of Time, yeah. So
and I guess Half-Life was only a handful of years old at that point. But
to a degree, I also think Retro Gamer's got a bit of a monopoly. People just by default buy it because they're into retro. That's what we're hoping to get as well. People that are just into retro but want to explore a little.
And perhaps you pick up. Yeah, there might be those people that really, they perhaps their favorite platform is the Amiga in terms of retro platform, but the only magazine is Retro Gamer, so they pick that up, and maybe they're not too interested about whatever the Konami feature that's in there. I just want to get the little bit of Amiga nugget that might be in there. Now they've got an entire Mac.
I don't think we'll be able to take them on though with the numbers that they get. We're just happy to have passed the hill at the moment.
Well, it's a start, isn't it? I mean, is that something you maybe would hope to do? Like get into just shops and like WH Smith?
Oh yeah. In 10, 20 years, if we could do that. No. We do want to take it to a kind of nice level, like the Retro Hours become a popular thing. We'd like to do this as well and base it on good quality content and being consistent and releasing on schedule and just kind of becoming something that people can't live without. That's the kind of aim behind it. And this idea was all Jonah's. And he explained it to me and he said, Ravi, I've got this idea. I want to do something for the Amiga scene. And I was like, oh, what is it? And he explained it all to me. And it's just fantastic. But it was totally birthed from him. I didn't come up with this at all. So
it's probably about the last thing, isn't it? You're probably thinking, if he tells me a new game or a new bit of hardware, that's fine. We're covered now. We've got all that. We've got podcasts as well. But magazine is the last one, really, that hasn't.
It's also the last thing you'd think about, isn't it, in 2020? Starting an Amiga mag, it's like, I'm going to go and get a phone book or I'm going to use a payphone. It's like something totally irrelevant.
And it's obviously not dying, because there's still the magazine sections in WH Smith. I don't think they're that much smaller, than they were in the 90s.
Yeah, I've noticed that they're getting smaller for video games.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
there's a lot more fishing mags and stuff like that, and car
Model Railway and all that stuff. Yeah, there's about 8 different Model Railway ones or something. I mean, it might be a reflection of the age groups of the people that buy these, perhaps.
Yeah, I saw Pete Waterman sitting on a Model Railway on one recently.
He loves his Model Railways, isn't he? That guy. So yeah, he probably funds the magazines. But yeah, so what's going to happen though when someone starts Atari ST Addict?
Oh, that's great. Well, we want to get a rival that's called Amiga Rehab or Detox. More the merrier. I say more old school gaming magazines and kind of with a bit of a new twist.
You know you've made it, and the market is healthy if there's a rival that you can take the mick out of each month.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, if you could have, we ended up with like 4 or 5 Sega Saturn magazines in the 90s that all took the piss out of each other, and that was for a market that was tiny compared to the Amiga. So hopefully this could be the start of something great.
Yeah, and hopefully if we can get the Germans engaged and the Polish and the all these little groups of Amiga people all over the world, it'd be really interesting. Yeah.
Well, I think it obviously these days, people can download it wherever they are in the world, and I'm sure they'll happily sort of pay for it and things like that. So a new magazine, it's I can only see success really from it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a bit of controversy because there always is in the Amiga scene, but also because there's the internet now, and stuff's always a bit dramatic, but we're gonna have fun. Yeah, and I think I think the Amiga scene's very divided into systems and platforms and who owns this, but in the end of the day, we all love the kind of Amiga and anything that's Amiga. So yeah.
So like, that's interesting. Actually, you're talking about how you could appeal to basically the entire world, because something like Amiga Format, CU Amiga, they knew in their day that they had so very few people from overseas. They could just really focus on one market, and that was all they. There was obviously super UK centric. Whereas that isn't the case anymore. People can download it anywhere. You haven't got to always worry about, can we even establish a supply chain to this country for the magazine? You can just, you can have the entire world now in this mag, effectively.
And also, like, everybody goes, Amiga scene's blowing up. But until I went round and actually saw it and saw queues of people and, the Vampires, I think they sold about £34,000 worth in 1 hour.
That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, this really is kind of blowing up again, and if I hadn't have gone out and seen that stuff, I don't think I'd be that into the concept of a new Amiga magazine. But seeing that the people are there and going over to Germany and seeing stuff like Amiga Joker as well. They had some reprint. There's been a lot of nostalgic one. I think Pete Cannon did an Amiga Format front cover as well. That was wow. For one of his albums, and that sparked a load of nostalgia as well.
That's cool. I mean, it's just seeing that particular font of like the Amiga wording, which is quite similar, isn't it? What you've done on the front cover of Amiga Addict, that alone, and that there was a certain style, wasn't there, that you got with Amiga Format that was quite. It was very like technical and very sharp. And is that the kind of look that you're going to aim for with Amiga Addict?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what Jonah's going through, because he's pretty much the design guy at the moment and the main editor, and then I'm deputy editor and writing a few columns, trying to work out this whole crazy history of what's happened since Commodore went, which is a huge task.
Quite convoluted.
Oh god, yeah. That's why my articles are so big at the moment.
You can have like a 10-part series on just 1994 of the Amiga or something.
Or just on like RAM accelerators.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, there you go. There's a never-ending stream of stuff. So in terms of like there's obviously a lot of Amiga stores that are around. One of the main ones would be like Amiga Store EU, and you've got Amiga Kit. Are you looking to partner with those guys? Are they going to be sort of having adverts? Are they already?
We've got. Amazingly, like sponsors are already coming, which is just fantastic. So, cool. We're getting. I think Steve Jones, who's doing the Checkmate. He did the Checkmate 1500, and
the case,
that's
amazing. That case.
Yeah, and you know what? I think until it's actually in people's hands, there'll be a few advertisers, but until it's in people's hands and they actually see what it is, then hopefully it will blow up, and hopefully they'll get a bit more presence for these stores. And like, there's so many retailers now, isn't there? And I quite like the idea that they're called Amiga dealers as well, and we're Amiga addicts.
There's no confusion there. It is there. So yeah, let's say you're dealers. Yeah. So also, like, in terms of, you know, you've got yourselves out there. You kind of, in terms of marketing, obviously you're talking about stuff on podcasts, and obviously you're on with us today, and you'll talk about it. I guess you've got a free like ad advertising spot on the Retro Hour for life. I'm sure Dan would be happy with that. Have you had any like the original like Amiga magazine, like the people that worked on those, get in touch? Have they heard about it? Already we've had guys from CU, Amiga Power already get involved. And you know what? It would be amazing if we could get some of these old editors and some of these old columnists and stuff in. Quite emotional for them as well, I could imagine. Oh yeah, it would be like, you know, like Ben Vost. I really liked his stuff that he did on Amiga format when he took over, and Nick Veach as well. Guys like that would be fantastic. Just even doing guest columns on there, it would be really nice.
I'm sure they'd be happy to do it.
We'd have to edit pretty hard.
It'd be weird, like being editors for the people of the magazines that were editors of those mags back in the day that you would read. It's like a weird alternate reality.
Maybe, you know, like at the moment, with the funds and everything, we're able to pay 2 staff.
Cool.
For it. So that's me and Jonah at the moment. Yeah. But with advertising and stuff in the future, maybe we can add some more paid staff that actually were in the ex-Amiga magazines, because we think it's really important to have paid staff just so they're continually pushing on it, and it you know,
it keeps things going and rolling if it's their full-time job, doesn't it? And like, it keeps that level, like constant, you know, QAing and all that stuff. It's difficult to do, isn't it, if you're just doing it, you know, as a side thing,
as a voluntary thing. Yeah, and also it's hard if you've got volunteers to kind of be like, we've got a deadline. You know?
Yeah, I know. So, like, screw you. You know, this is for free. It'll be weird and kind of funny if, like, you know, Ben Vost gives you an article and you have to be like, sorry, Ben, but could you just tweak some of this wording here? And what are you talking about? I ran Amiga format.
You might just do it just to annoy him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's perfect as it is. But yeah, you're like, I own all of you. I ran Amiga format. Step aside. I'm taking over. Yeah, that'd be kind of surreal.
1,000 copies.
And you could just say, well, you're the one that got Amiga cancelled, mate. So, you know, you need to get in line.
Actually, if you've ever heard the Ben Vost interview, I suggest this.
Yeah, it is great. It is really. That's how he introduces it, doesn't he? He says, yeah, I'm the guy that kind of rode it into like oblivion.
But this guy's emotions are still so tied into those magazines.
Yeah, I mean, he said he was like kind of traumatized almost when it ended, because it was like a huge chunk of his life that it kind of passed by like the week of it happening, and then it kind of hit him, didn't it, when he was like walking out, and he had to started crying. And I think he said on your interview when he got home.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with Amiga magazines. It was like the companies left, the people left, but they still kept the faith, you know.
Yeah.
All those years afterwards, and even if the games releases were like subpar and they were coming out slowly, they'd still be like 10 out of 10. You know,
they'd still really,
pushing it like a kind of evangelical style, really.
It got to the point where all that
video game magazines, it's like you know, you could be doing a magazine and then the actual product that you're doing the magazine about could just go. But you know, if you're doing a car magazine or you're doing a film scene, you know, there's still going to be films in 10 years, you know, as there were 20 years ago. But then, you know, with computers, with Amiga or Ataris or, you know, whatever, it could
have their own little era,
just disappear. And you haven't got a subject to talk about.
And I think to a degree as well, they're a bit cult-like, like, you know, the Amiga fans are really, really into Amiga, and and back in the days, no one could tell them that there was anything better. But also, that's in every single little system, and I think it's kind of like addressing that inside passion for it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, wait a minute, Ravi, did I just hear you right? There might be something better than the Amiga. I've never heard that before. And that's the right answer. So, I mean, you mentioned obviously you've got like, you know, people that volunteer stuff trying to helping you out to put it together, and you got some full-time people as well, which is great. Would you be looking in the future to open up to sort of people submitting their own like articles and things like that?
Totally. Yeah, we're going to have like, you know, like a Nintendo seal of approval. We're going to have a community submitted article, and that's what it's going to have on. And even if we do get to a stage that we can get lots of staff and stuff like that, we'll still have that community aspect, because without the community, there wouldn't be any reader base, and you know, you want a variety and a diversity of opinions in there as well, and views on all aspects of Amiga, you know.
It's the community that's kept it going, isn't it? The commercial side of Amiga over the years has been a complete shit show, isn't it? With Commodore and SCOM, and they didn't give a crap about the platform, really.
And now the community's kind of developed its own technology. And
exactly.
Kind of, created all of these little products, and we've now got to the stage that you can kind of do it at home, and that's created a whole new market, which is just mental to think. If I'd said to myself in 2020, "Oh, Ravi, you'll still be into Amiga, you'll still be doing this,"
you'll finally get that accelerator.
Commodore will be dead. He is dead, but you'll still be going. What?
Yeah, it's the biggest. I think it's very unique. I mean, I like the Atari ST as well, but the community is absolutely tiny for that. Though they do, you know, keep it going, but nowhere near to the level of the Amiga, and even things like, you know, games consoles. Obviously, they kind of come and go, and they have their own finite thing. Yeah. And people do make like new NES games and new Mega Drive games, but I think you would struggle to get like a Mega Drive magazine or something. I mean, like, obviously, if someone's thinking of doing it and they're listening to this, please go and do it. It would be awesome. But
I think it's weird because so many developers that I've interviewed on the Retro Hour, you mention Amiga once and then they won't stop talking about it.
Misty-eyed, yeah.
And I kind of need to change the subject quickly because the whole interview would just turn into us like gushing over it. But like, you know, it's definitely a unique thing with the Amiga, the kind of passion behind the community. And I don't even think it's about the machine anymore. It's about something different. I don't know what it is yet, but
everyone's so passionate about it. And even like, you know, some of the you know, people like Mark Cerny, I think, did stuff on the Amiga, and obviously the main big in terms of America, you think of Trip Hawkins, who you mentioned a little bit ago. I mean, he's really cool. You know, you've probably seen him on Facebook, and you had him on the Retro Hour, didn't you? He'll just talk about. He's quite happy to talk about that stuff. He loves the Amiga. It's part of the reason why EA got to where they did, is because they developed Amiga games and Deluxe Paint and other games, and
Calvin Harris did his first album on the Amiga.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people like that. Yeah, he did it on a 500, on his brother's 500.
On a 500, oh my god!
Yeah. Do you remember Junior Senior as well? They did Deluxe Paint video and stuff. So there's a lot of connection with it still, and there's still that little. I think once you're an Amigan, you're always an Amigan. Like, I saw this interview with Kanye West. It's him talking about how much he loves Amiga when it was his first machine as a sampler, and like, the guy's crazy, obviously, but you look into his eyes and you see the Amiga crazy there. You're like,
you're looking to call his last album like TurboGrafx 16.
Yeah. There's a connection. But you know, when you see these people talking about like Amiga or something, there's a spark, and you just see that spark. Yeah.
You don't get that with PCs, where it's just a tool and you can just throw it away and get a new one. There's no kind of emotion. Is there really to this level? Because it was just
maybe with Mac there might be, because it was more of a kind of dedicated machine. But you're not going to get people go, oh, remember that time computer that I had back then? Oh, it was so good.
Exactly. I mean, there's probably a little bit like with LGR. There's a little bit of nostalgia for a specific model that you had as a kid, but because it's
there's
Exactly, but the PC didn't kind of die or go out anywhere, so there's no reason to, get mega like misty-eyed about it in the way that the Amiga kind of died. Like probably the Dreamcast is like a similar thing in terms of games consoles. People get misty-eyed over it because it died a premature death. I think there's like an injustice with the Amiga as well, isn't there? Like, God, there was so much more potential.
Injustice, but I think there's an anger as well, which is everybody got burnt. Like the whole community got burnt, the users got burnt, the dealers got burnt, and it's left this anger, but it's also left this fever to get it back again, and that's why it's kind of going today. And and I think that's why there's a lot of passion behind it, because everybody got wrecked by Commodore, didn't they?
It just makes you think, like Dave Hayne, I think he's talked before about future chipsets they were working on. And like you're talking about, they were working on an Amiga chipset that would have been like, later on you would see that the level of performance it would have had was about the same as a PS1. And this was like in 1993. Yeah.
He's doing a new Buster chip at the moment.
He's making a new chipset. Oh, wow.
For the Amiga, there was a thing, Super Buster, which was in the Amiga 4000, and you get a nice version of it, but he's making an upgraded version at the moment, so he'll be talking about that in the mag.
It makes you think, though, if Commodore did survive, and maybe they could have pushed out that PS1 level graphics, that in a new Amiga 5000 or something with a lower end model to replace the 1200, it could have done awesome 3D, like, first-person shooters and stuff like that better than the PC could at the time. Quake would have been ported straight away and ran better, on Amiga than it probably might have been. Things like wouldn't been developed first on the Amiga, and they'd all be struggling to port it over to the the PS1 and the PC. It would have been a completely different story, but Commodore got in the way of that, unfortunately. So we can only dream.
There's a level of respect with the Amiga as well. So, like the demo scene, for example. They're still winning the demo competitions with Amiga demos, and that's crazy. Yeah. Still pushing them that far, and people will come and watch it. That's like one of the main events at Revision, is the Amiga compo, and everyone's screaming Amiga, and it's like, there's like a level of respect from other users and other developers to see these machines getting kind of pushed that far. That it just, it brings a warm feeling to a lot of people.
I think people. Yeah. I mean, there's people that don't know about the Amiga, and they, I explain to them. I just always tell them, it's the first computer that had where graphics was really important. I know people say, "Oh, but what about the Mac? It had like a GUI." Yeah, not that sort of thing. Like actual, what you think of as in video games now. Yeah. I would say the Amiga basically started that by having really good like graphics that looked like real shit. And this is in 1985 when the NES had only just come out, and that was like cutting edge console. We're only a couple of years removed from the Atari 2600 being the mainstream. From that to like things like Mona Lisa, like really good looking Mona Lisa renders and Tutankhamun that looks really good. It's just like, and compare it to the stuff in 1985. It's the PCs were just like still green screen CGA monstrosities.
I think there hasn't been a universal leap, and I was just thinking, like, what is a universal leap? And it's probably Apple Silicon at the moment. It seems to be the huge leap that's happening. But these leaps in technology only happen once a blue moon, and when they do, they're amazing. Really, aren't they?
I was watching that presentation by Apple yesterday, or a few days ago now, and it was really, they sort of went back about the history. The 68,000 went to the Power PC, then they went to Intel, and now they've come back to sort of the ARM architecture, which it's sort of like, it sort of reminisce. It was like, whole integrated sort of system, and I thought it was quite exciting actually
as well, so they didn't die.
It used to be so exciting when Macs had Power PC chips. I remember just being able to take people would be ask me why I've got a Mac, and I'd be able to tell them, show them a video of like, how much more powerful the Power PC G3 or whatever it was at the time was compared to a Pentium, and it just be like it just shits all over it. And then obviously they gave up developing the Power PC for the Mac. I think really it was like the PS3 and the 360, and Nintendo making huge orders, with IBM kind of killed the desktop computer and laptop computer side of it for Apple.
I think for me as well, like the other mind-blowing thing after Amiga was when the N64 came out and had those silicon graphics.
Project Reality.
That was a huge leap as well. And I don't think we see much of those monumental leaps anymore. But
no, it's just a bit better. Resolution's a bit higher. Nicer shadows. That's kind of it.
For me as well, Amiga's a real creative computer. I know in the UK they had a big focus on games, but also for me, like the first thing that my dad did was he put me upstairs with an Amiga 2000 and Deluxe Paint, and he didn't show me any games for about half a year. I was just sitting there making animations, doing like little pixel art. It was so much fun. And then I learned about mods from that and how file structures work, how operating systems work. And
you'd go and like around a mate's house who had a 386 or 486 PC, and they're like, right, let's play a game. Just going to pop the disc in. Let's go to the DOS prompt. Right, // It's like, I'll just put a disc in my Amiga. It just works. So they're just like, oh, sharp.
I remember my dad had an artist studio because he was a lecturer at the university, and they bought all Amigas for the whole art suite because they were a lot cheaper. And the students didn't know that you could run. They just thought all these odd American machines because they're all big boxes, and they didn't know that you could run Amiga games on them. And I just came with a copy of Road Rash.
Oh wow!
On every single one, and they were like, "Way!"
It's so weird, isn't it? Like though, a lot of the big Amiga sort of reminiscing about Amiga documentaries that have come out. I've kind of watched them and I've enjoyed them, but I've been a bit disappointed because also they're very Amiga centric. So the way they talk about it, like when I was watching one of them with my girlfriend, I had to kind of explain to her, like, don't take this as how it was for us in the UK. And she's like, and she'd be like, what do you mean? It was like, well, to them, it was like a niche little weird, like product that a very small group of people were super passionate about. And it was very niche, and it was mainly used in like TV production. Whereas here in the UK, it was just a mainstream, normal, like that was the normal sort of thing for us, as common as like a PC is now, and it was a go-to thing.
Our age, we missed the peak as well. So we started like tail end of Amiga, really.
Yeah, the sort of early to mid 90s, it was already on a downward spiral. And so I was like saying to like this, they've forgotten loads of games. It's like, okay, what games were they not talking about? It was like Lemmings and Sensible Soccer. You know, and a lot of time you'd say these names, they'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that on like Sega or something. It's it was on the Amiga, but because they're American, they didn't get this stuff because there was no market for it. Here, it was like Amiga games were top of the charts and like the video game charts every week because there were so many of them.
And they were still getting pirated, as well, but still managed to get enough sales. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think when I see like maybe like UK kids like want to learn about computer history, they'll watch like Americans, and then they'll just get this side of the Amiga as being this niche thing, and they'll get the NES was basically in the 80s, it was just NES, and they'll just get that as their kind of thing, and we have to kind of filter that and be like, no, it wasn't like that here. We had this and we had this. And
then the German experience was very different because they were getting like hard drives that were getting expansion cards, and they were more pushing it that way, whereas a lot of the UK people had the like bare bones 500 or 1200 with maybe a tiny RAM upgrade.
Yeah, you'd get like even like countries that would treat the same systems differently. Like the Commodore 64, everyone would use discs. In America, games would just come on floppy disks. Here, it was just completely tapes. You'd have the advert in Commodore user like if this game is $14.99 on disc or $2.99 on cassette. You'd be like, well, I think I know which one I'm going to get. But I think it was all to do with politics at the time, recessions, stuff like that. And the world was a lot more separate then, wasn't it? Yeah, the world felt a lot bigger and you were a lot more isolated, really, unless you were very rich and had access to airplay.
Like I went over to America and I thought, oh, these guys don't have Amigas. Like, no, it's all IBM and everything. And I was with my mate, he's like, I've got a 3000 tower in the boot. I'm like, what is going on? Like, and they had Amigas, but they were the more big boxy ones and stuff like that,
It's like I watch like LGR and Metal Jesus, and they do little bits, or obviously LGR does PC games all the time, but they'll talk about old like 80s DOS games or even early 90s, and they play like Lemmings, and it'll be like this horrible shit PC version. I'm like,
PC speaker going
PCB, but and they'd be like, "Oh, look how great I'm getting it to run. It looks good. It's better than what I was going to see." And it was still the awful like CGA graphics. I was like, "Dude, what?" We had the Amiga version, which obviously was obviously the original version of that game, which completely like destroyed whatever they were. And Monkey Island is a good one. They obviously we got the best version of that until so there was later versions that had
but that's a prime example of a game that you could put on the front cover.
Yes,
obviously,
exactly.
Disney own it, so you'd put me in a bit of trouble. But that would be a mass appeal kind of thing, a Monkey Island style front cover rather than Monkey Island version for the Amiga, blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. We had like unique versions of these that were so much better than what they were probably used to in their DOS sort of days. And again, it's like we were saying about it's the first computer that really cared about graphics and has led us on. It had accelerated graphics, and it's led us down the path that we're still on to this day.
But also, I think the collapse of Amiga and the lack of support was a huge thing. So when I was younger, there was one point where they turned off the Commodore customer service line.
Oh my god! Yeah.
So you couldn't ring up and get anything. There was no internet. To actually get any info from. So the magazines were essential for that, and that also drove a lot of people to self-learn, share knowledge, be in user groups. So actually, I think the collapse actually helped get a lot of people into it more and learn more about their systems, just because they had to keep them running.
Yeah, it's like we said before, like, if you collect the old mags, I mean, I think me and Stu have dabbled a little bit in that, but obviously it's quite difficult to store them. But now with the old mags, you are basically like an archive of Amiga knowledge. A lot of it's still valid to this day, of course, especially like the games still play great and all that stuff. And programming tips and Amos tips and learning how to upgrade this or do that. A lot of that stuff is still relevant now. They're just this huge archive of knowledge. So they're still perfectly like relevant today. But with your magazine, you can now add the current era stuff.
Exactly, yeah, the different stuff. And like you're totally right. Like those tutorials, I learned HTML in that and WAP HTML, and now that's my career.
Exactly.
For my job professionally, and I think there's a lot of people that kind of their whole careers are owed to those magazines and those tutorials, and their whole education with computers kind of were maybe sparked by that,
Yeah, I mean, Trip Hawkins made a little company called EA off the back of the Amiga, so
I
think they've done all right, haven't they, since then? So finally, before we finish up, where can we jump into Amiga Addict and get a pre-order in, and what is the process to get this thing? This thing in our hands?
You go to amiga-addict.com and there'll be a link which is on the Simulant store, and as we speak it's just gone down to 64, which is awesome. So they're getting sold as we speak at the moment, so hopefully when this comes out we would have hit that pre-order, and then it's just going to be sale as usual. So it won't be like pre-order, it'll be like we have this much in stock, and then hopefully so the site's going to change completely when we do hit that pre-order, and then hopefully, like I said, we're going to try and get out on the I think I said 14th of December. That's it. Yeah,
that's cool. So visit the site, get that pre-order in, and we can get this magazine in our hands, and hopefully we'll have for the longest time, hopefully for as long as we're all alive. It'd be nice. There'll be an Amiga Addict will keep going, and we'll finally get a printed Amiga magazine in the UK after 14 years. So check out the link. And Ravi, you've also got your own sort of stuff that you do as well.
I'm no longer doing YouTube, guys. Sorry.
Oh, wow. When did that stop?
When I started getting loads of copyright strikes for DJing.
Oh, really? That'd do it.
I'm DJing on Mixcloud now, which is basically a kind of one where you can DJ and you get no strikes because it's designed for DJs. So, but that's still a live stream, and I'm doing that every Saturday at 8 p.m. Mixcloud. My name's Formulation on there.
Wicked. And obviously you got with Dan, you got the Retro Hour as well. Obviously you're still pumping out episodes.
250th episode on this Friday.
Oh my God! That must be a spectacular plan.
Yeah, we've got a developer, the actual chief developer of the Sega Dreamcast, and he's telling us about a bug that happened within the Dreamcast at launch, and they hid it from everybody, cost them millions of pounds. And the night before they were about to kind of launch it, the main programmer left all his clothes in the hotel and ran off to Mardi Gras. So they were kind of stuck
convenient
with this bug. So yeah, it's a fantastic story.
They ended up dumping it anyway 2 years down the line, which is the sad story of the Dreamcast, of course.
Yeah, underrated.
Amazing.
Sure.
Big time, yes. The Amiga of the console world, I think, almost, isn't it? Cool. Well, so check that out. 250th episode of the Retro. That's going to be amazing. The Dreamcast, a bit of a legend of the console. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Ravi. Really appreciate it. Check out Ravi's links. Check out Amiga Addict. Stu, where can you find us?
Okay, you can find us on iTunes, any sort of podcast clients. Type in Console Shock, you'll find us. And you'll also find us on YouTube and Twitter and Console Shock. We haven't got an Instagram or a TikTok yet. I'm sure everyone wants to see Trev do some dancing. That'll be get some top views for that. But thank you very much, Ravi. That was absolutely phenomenal, hearing all about the magazine, and then your history with the Amiga, and it's just great to hear people with so much sort of enthusiasm, like myself and Trev for the Amiga. And yeah, just well done on getting the magazine all put together.
Well, thanks for having me on, and 71 episodes as well. That's awesome. I've been listening recently, and really good podcast, guys.
Thanks, Ravi. Really
thank you very much.
That. So thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been Console Shock 71. Everybody take care, and we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.
See you guys.